Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast for 2022. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of JakesTake.com, a pop culture and entertainment news website. Now, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Spotify, Spreaker, head over, please give us a 5-star rating. And if you're a subscriber and if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, and a subscription will be perfect. So, as for the first interview of 2022, I bring on this fabulous actor and recording artist. Some fans may know him as Dillon Quartermaine from General Hospital, Walking Dead. Dead fans might know him as Lieutenant Frank Newton on Walking Dead World Beyond. He is also a Spotify verified artist under Palmer, and he has, as of this recording, 126,000 Instagram followers. So please help me welcome Robert Palmer Watkins.
Yeah, that was quite the intro, man. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I'm glad. I always give my guests the best intro, hopefully.
You make me sound way cooler than I am. Now I got to live up to that. All right, let's go.
Awesome. So let's get started. So when did you get interested in performing, and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
Where did I get my initial, I'm sorry, can you repeat the beginning part of that?
Oh, sorry. When did you get interested in performing?
I've always been, I grew up, I was an artistic kid. I loved drawing, and although I was athletic, I just always kind of steered more towards the arts. I was always a really creative kid. And it started with drawing. I thought I was going to be an animator for the longest time. I would draw all day long. I have hundreds of sketchbooks from when I was a little kid, and I was getting pretty good. I was a good little artist. But in high school, my high school really needed guys for the play that they were doing, and there weren't a lot of guys auditioning. And my English teacher really pushed me to audition. So I reluctantly, I was a little nervous about it. It wasn't necessarily the cool thing to do, but I did it, and man, I got bit by the acting bug hard, and I never looked back. I mean, as soon as I got on that stage in front of that audience, and just that the collaboration with the other actors on stage, and you almost feel like you're collaborating with the audience at the same time. The energy they're feeding you and you're feeding off, it's such a beautiful process. So I just loved it. And I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I'm going to pursue this. So from then on, I just really switched gears from like visual art, drawing and painting, to using my body to tell stories, as an actor. And I went to a Center for the Arts high school, did theater there. And then I also did theater at my home high school, because I went to 2 different high schools throughout the day. I would take a bus over to a specialty center for theater. And then I would also take classes at the high school that was in my district. So I did theater at 2 different high schools, which was a really cool experience, and then, yeah, man, I moved to LA when I as soon as I could. And it was just, it's been a journey for sure.
Awesome. That's incredible. So coming from a theater kid himself, a former theater kid.
What's up?
Yeah, I actually did theater at Oxford Middle School and Blue Valley Northwest from 6th grade to 12th grade. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. I mean, there's just something, I was just really blown away at how I just loved the process, all these different types of people coming together. It's like a sport. It's like a team, I mean, when you're up on stage with these other people, or if you're doing TV or film, you're in a scene with somebody, and you got to rely on each other. You got, you're leaning on each other to get these emotions out and to tell this story. And if, you're only as good as your weakest link. If somebody fails, you're all going down, and I think there's something really cool about that, that experience.
Awesome. So what have been some of the challenges that you faced breaking into the entertainment industry, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, the better question, I think, would be, what challenges have I not faced? Because that list would be a lot shorter. But it's definitely a tough industry. It is very competitive. There's a lot of people trying to do it, and there's not enough roles for everybody. It's, to really pursue the career, you want to move to one of the cities that is producing, TV, film, stage, whatever. And that's usually either LA or New York. which are very expensive towns to live in. So it's also financially difficult. Luckily now, a lot of filming is being done in other cities. You know, Atlanta is blowing up, Austin, Texas, North Carolina a little bit, New Orleans. They're filming now. They're starting to branch out, so that's kind of cool. But you know, it's expensive. It's expensive to try to pursue your dream as an artist, because you got to live, but you also got to make time for your art. And a lot of times it takes years to start making money off of acting or music or painting or whatever it is. So, or dancing or stand-up comedy or modeling or whatever, you know. So you know, it's a journey for sure. I mean, I've been out in LA now for 14 years.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm just now, in the past few, I should say in the past few years, I've just started to feel like, okay, I've got a career, and this is what I'm doing. I'm not going anywhere. And there's going to be times that are a little harder than others, and there's going to be times that are amazing when I'm working on a show. But I feel like I've got the ball rolling enough. I know enough people now. I've got a network of actors and producers and writers, and I've established myself enough to where I feel like I'm making an imprint. And as long as I keep working and building from that imprint, I will continue to get more work. But it takes time. And I think that is there's a lot of challenges, you know. I mean, I could go on and on and on, you know, finding a part-time job, money, rent, learning how to act, taking acting classes, getting an audition, you know. But I think I'll just sum it up with like, the biggest challenge is patience, because it doesn't happen overnight. You know, nobody makes it. And I think that's with any career, you know, that's not just artists or actors. I think, you know, if you've got a goal, especially if it's a hefty goal, a big goal, it's going to take work and it's going to take time, you know. And I think you just have to really learn to enjoy the journey and enjoy the process, and don't put so much emphasis on the end goal. You know, I try to not just think about an Oscar one day. You know, I try to remind myself daily that today is the win. You know, just getting this audition is a victory, you know. Or I was able to just pay my rent. That's a victory. You know what I mean? Whatever it is.
I know what you mean, my friend.
Yeah. So I think that remembering to be happy in the moment and not constantly chasing the next goal, the next goal, the next goal is what really is going to get anybody out there looking to pursue something in the arts or anything really in life. I think that's what will get you through. So yeah, I think patience is the biggest challenge. But once you conquer that, and I'm still learning. I mean, I'm just now getting to a place where I feel like, oh, I understand. This was a really hard week, and it was a challenge that I'm going to grow from, and it's part of the process, you know. I think once you master that, everything kind of falls into place weirdly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can definitely speak about patience because this is Jake's Takes 10th anniversary year, and also not to mention the fact I just celebrated my second anniversary podcast episode a couple weeks ago.
Hey, nice. Wait, so how many years have you been on?
Journalism-wise and blogging-wise, a decade. Since
Okay.
August 2011.
Gotcha. So you know how it is. I mean, I'm sure journalism, I mean, it's like, it's every little step. It feels like you've got such a long way to go, but then you look back and you're like, wow, every little step that I made or took led me to the bigger step, and then another step, and opened another door, another window. I mean, yeah, it's just really crazy because even when I started out in LA, and I was like, how do I do this? Like, I've done a lot of theater, but now I'm out in LA and I want to do TV and film. How do I get an agent if I don't have anything of myself on screen? So then you go, okay, well, I guess I need to do some student films to get a reel together, you know, of my acting. So then you go do a bunch of free student films that you're not getting paid on, or you make some of your own. And that feels so daunting. And like, where is this? This is, you know, it feels like, God, I'm not even making money off this. But I look back now and it's like every one of those little jobs I did, every one of those free gigs that I got, you know, all of them matter, you know, and you don't realize it in the moment, but like, you know, randomly one of those tiny little jobs that I did with a college student 14 years ago is now working on Netflix and hits me up and says, "Hey, you know what I mean? I mean, it all comes back around." So I think that's such a huge lesson that, like, even though you might feel like what you're doing right now is pointless, there's a bigger picture, you know?
That's what I've always thought because I look at Walter Cronkite, Regis Philbin, and Barbara Walters, some of my role models, and they were in their 80s when they retired.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, it's crazy. And with something like this, I mean, you can, I think, you know, with journalism too, I mean, hopefully we can do this until we die, you know? I mean, I don't want to retire.
Absolutely, absolutely. So speaking of lessons, 6 years ago, you had the opportunity to play Dillon Quartermaine on the long-running soap General Hospital. So what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned from GH, and how did that help you grow as an actor?
I feel like, you know, being on a soap opera is basically like boot camp for actors. It's such a quick, fast-paced um, medium that you're on, and it's different than anything. The closest thing I can compare it to would be theater, you know, a live show, because you're basically, you get in there and you do, if you're in an episode, you shoot all of your scenes in a row. So unlike a lot of TV and film where you're shooting one little clip at a time and then they're getting a close-up shot and a wide shot and a one shot and a dirty you know, with a soap they've got all the cameras set up in place already, and you run through your entire scene and you get basically one blocking rehearsal and then you shoot it. So it is fast, and it's cool because you actually get to live out the scene. You know, you don't have to start. So I really enjoyed that part of it. You have to be careful with that though, because you're moving so fast. It's easy to kind of let things slide or just go, well, whatever, we're moving on, you know. And you have to remember to you just have to be really prepared, because you still want the work to be good. You want the story to be truthful, and you want your acting to be good, you know. So you even though you're moving super super fast and the crew is moving fast and you know you only are going to get one take, as an actor you got to come at having done all the work on your own. You know, there's not a lot of time for rehearsals or blocking rehearsals, or so you got to kind of learn how to do that on your own. And I think that's the biggest skill I took from that, was just like learning how to prepare for a scene or an audition. Whether I get rehearsal time or not, I know what I'm doing when I come to that set or to that scene, because I've done the work and I'm prepared. I'm totally memorized. I've got my characters, you know, objectives, or I've got the circumstances in my head. And I think that's really really important. And you're able to do it quickly because you have to. And memorizing your lines, that's something that I was never really good at. But being on a soap and having that many lines every day really it's a muscle. And I always heard people say, you know, memorizing is a muscle, and I was like, what does that mean? And it's true. Whatever that means, it's true. The more you do it, the more your brain kind of finds tricks and learns how to pick up these lines quicker. So those are things that I took with me that I think are so so valuable. But yeah, it's a totally different type of process, soap operas.
And you also held your own as well, like because GH had a lot of incredible actors. You played Tracy Quartermaine's son, Jane Elliott's character. You also had, I believe, you shared some scenes with Jeannie Francis as well, and Anthony Gary. All of them are award-winning actors in Emmys. So, What were some of the times that you favorite times on camera, or what were some of your favorite scenes that you got filmed?
I mean, my very first day on set was with Jane Elliott and Anthony Geary, two of the biggest, you know, icons, and I just was blown away at how amazing and truthful they were, and just grounded their acting was. I mean, it was just so natural and easy for them, and it was really comforting to me as a new actor coming onto a show, you know, a show that has been, these stories have continued on for over 50 years, now almost 60 years, I think they're coming up on. But when I first got on, it was like at 55 years, I think, or 54 years. So just to be thrown into that world with two actors that have been, they are pros at this, but to be greeted with such grace and just comfort was amazing. But yeah, it was really, really, really cool to be in the presence of those actors. And to be honest, I didn't grow up watching soaps. I had never really seen soaps. I knew my grandmother and my aunt watched them. But I wasn't very familiar. So I wasn't even that familiar with who these big soap stars were, these actors and actresses were. But I obviously, once I booked the role and I researched everything, I realized how important, they were to the show. So yeah, I was just really lucky. I was really lucky to not only book a role, a contract role on General Hospital, but to book a role, a legacy character that is thrown into basically the mix of the huge characters on the show, a Quartermaine, I was linked to basically everybody, so it was really special. It was really, really special.
Awesome. My mom, Gloria, loves General Hospital, and she's also been a huge fan of Young and Restless. I know when they were on All My Children, One Life to Live.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Awesome. So let's talk about the world of The Walking Dead.
All right.
So from gangster-filled Port Charles all the way to zombie-filled The Walking Dead. So you joined The Walking Dead crew franchise as Lieutenant Frank Newton for Walking Dead World Beyond. So how was this character similar or different to any character that you portrayed in the past?
This character was, well, first of all, just being, thrown into the, again, lucky role to book, great show, great world to enter into because it's just so iconic. I mean, we got Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and now this new one, Walking Dead World Beyond. Now they're about to go into a movie franchise. I mean, the world that these creators and writers have built is just phenomenal and so brilliant and so big. It's done on such a big scale, and the fan base is huge, and so nothing is small. Nothing is, they don't cut corners, and being on set of a production like that was just really interesting and fun, with all the stunts and choreographing and special effects and fight scenes. My final episode is coming up next week, episode 10, the finale of season 2, and I've got some really cool stuff in that scene or in that episode. But yeah, to enter into that world was just amazing. I mean, as an actor, that's, to book a role, that's amazing. To get work is amazing. But when you land on a show like that or General Hospital, it's just, I'm just really grateful for it.
Awesome. I would love to talk about both in your opinion, the character of growth of Dillon and also Frank Newton's character growth from the time you started to the time you ended on both those shows.
Yeah, I mean, totally different characters, Dillon Quartermaine. Although, I think most characters that I play, every character an actor plays, I think it's important to bring, well, you have to, you bring some of yourself to that character. And I know I definitely do. And although I've got my weaknesses and insecurities, I think I've also got strength at my core. And I think I bring that to most of the characters I play. And although Dillon and Frank Newton are very different characters, Lieutenant Frank Newton is kind of a bad guy who thinks he's doing the good, something good for the world. Some of the actions he has to take to carry out, his end goal are bad. But Dillon Quartermaine is a really good character, and his actions are really good and protective, and his moral compass is very intact, But he has he also, what I loved about Dillon was he had strength as well. I mean, he's a Quartermaine. His mom is Tracy Quartermaine. He's got, don't cross him and don't mess with anybody he loves, because he will, he's not a pushover. And he definitely stands up for what he believes in. So I think they're similar in the fact that they both are strong characters, strong men with their own goals and their mindset is, they get what they want, but they just go about it very, very different ways. Dillon Quartermaine is, a good guy, and Lieutenant Frank Newton does some pretty questionable things throughout the show.
Awesome. And those are characters that are that can be either loved or hated, no matter what.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's transition from acting to music. So when you decided it was time for you to release music?
I did music most of my life, but when I moved to LA, I really, acting is my main thing, or was my main thing, still is, but they're both pretty equal. Music is a huge passion of mine too. But I knew that if I really wanted to make it, I think it's important to put laser focus on whatever it is you want to do, and I felt like at the time acting I had a stronger chance or shot at, and that's kind of what I'd been training for the longest. So I just went full into acting, auditioning, acting classes, went to college for theater acting, and yeah, I just hit the ground running. And then when I finally booked General Hospital, that was kind of my first bigger role that I booked. I had done some movies and some smaller TV stuff before that, but General Hospital definitely opened the door, to a lot of different avenues for me. So when I was on General Hospital, I was like, okay, cool. My acting is in a pretty good place right now. Let me start doing playing around with some more music. And I started posting just some covers on Instagram and YouTube, and we called it Funk It Friday. Every Friday I would post a little music clip, and people really responded to it. And that was really cool. I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll dive into this a little more, And then General Hospital let me sing in the Nurses Ball a couple times, and that kind of helped propel and move things along with the music stuff. So then I met a music producer, a good friend of mine, Brendan Martin. He goes by B Martin. And he was really interested in developing me and working with me. And I said, yeah, man, I'd love to. I've been wanting to do my own original stuff. I've done a lot of covers now, and it's time. So we got in the studio together. We became really good friends, and we just started writing and, making beats and finding other musicians and producers to collaborate with. And we went for it. So now I've got 2 songs out, Waiting and Clean Cut. And I've got a third song called Walking Dead coming out in the middle of December. We just shot the music video in Utah last week. So that song and video will be released probably like mid-December. But I'm really excited about that one. It's my third release, and it's a slower song. It's more of a ballad, and it's just it's simple, but it's really heartfelt. And, it's another chapter of my life. I wrote these songs with my team, and they're definitely personal to what I'm going through. So I'm really, really grateful that everybody's enjoying them, and they're seeming to be received really well. And, I don't know where it's going to lead, but I'm excited to keep pushing them and see.
Awesome. I just want to say, I love both those songs. When I listened to Clean Cut, I thought this was Weekend Vibes, Top 40 vibes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a fun one. I love that one too. And that one's kind of like that one we wrote it kind of about how, I'm a clean cut dude and people perceive me as one thing, but a lot of times what you see on the surface, there's people have multiple sides, and I just wanted to kind of bring that to light that, I make mistakes too. I'm clean cut, but I cut up, I'm from the country. I'm from North Carolina, I'm not we put these actors and entertainers especially on a pedestal, and we think that they don't have any issues or any problems, and I couldn't be farther from the truth. You know what I mean? And I think not even with just entertainers, but everybody, I think social media, although it's really cool and it can be an awesome tool, it also is a skewed version of reality. I mean, we don't post about, being late on rent or running out of gas on the freeway or, getting in a fight with our lover or family member. We post all the perfect things that are going on, but we leave out, the fact that we're all screw ups too, so that's kind of what the song was about. out. So I really liked the message behind that one.
Awesome. Now, I really love Waiting with that featured B. Martin and also Ronan. And you could definitely feel, and if you listen to it, guys, it could remind you of like some Bieber vibes, Shawn Mendes vibes, Neo.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, totally. That was the first, we wrote that one when I was in a long distance relationship with a girl, Amanda Greer. We're still good friends. She's in Texas now, but she was in Atlanta at the time. And I was living in LA, and it was just, this long distance relationship. We both love each other so much, but it was just so hard. It was just felt like constantly waiting to see each other or talk to each other. She's an actress as well. So, our careers are obviously very important to both of us, and that would get in the way, but we also supported each other. So it's kind of just this give and take of, the love we had for each other, but also allowing each other to put each other first and our careers and the things we're trying to pursue, and then the distance between us. So that was really cool. I'm glad that one turned out the way it did, and it was fun to release that as my first single, because Waiting obviously was about a relationship, but it was also kind of like I've been waiting to release music for so long, and original music. So for the title track, the debut track to be called Waiting was also appropriate.
Awesome. So we got to start writing down our conversation. I know that we spoke earlier about social media, but what are some of your favorite apps?
Instagram is still my go-to. I just think the format of that is easy. You can post on the wall, and you can post a story to let them know what, people know what you're doing right in the moment. And I just like the way it's laid out. It's simple. You don't have to learn how to use it really. But I'm trying to learn how to do TikTok. I feel very old when I'm learning, but I know that it's a big one, and it is a lot of fun. And I know since I have music coming out, it's a huge platform to promote your music. So I'm definitely working on that. My TikTok, all my handles are Robert Palmer Watkins. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm Robert P. Watkins. But yeah, I think Instagram and TikTok are my two favorites right now. I don't really use Snapchat. I do post on my Facebook fan page, but it's basically just a repeat of whatever I'm posting on Instagram. Twitter, I do a little bit sometimes, but again, the main pages are Instagram and TikTok.
Believe me, I use Instagram a lot, and I like Twitter, but however, I don't know how to use TikTok.
Yeah. It's hard. They say it's easy. I know it's designed for kids, so I know I could learn, and I'm learning slowly. But man, it's just some of these TikTokers are super creative, and it's hard to compete.
I totally agree. So, second to last question: if you had the opportunity to meet with any actor or performer who's just getting ready to enter the entertainment industry, what advice would you like to share with them?
I would like I would ask them if this is something they feel they have to do. Like if they feel a strong calling towards this. And is it their true passion? Do they love it? Do they love it? Because if it's something that they just like or kind of dabble in for fun, then keep doing that. That's amazing. That's awesome. We all need hobbies, and maybe you can even turn it into a little business or a side business. But if you really are trying to go into the entertainment business and make a living off that and move to a city to pursue that and make that your life, I would just make sure that they really, really love it and it's their passion and they feel a strong calling towards it, because you're going to need that. You're going to need that as we talked about earlier. The challenges are going to arise more often than not. And you're going to need to fall back on that. No, this is what I want to do. This is what I love to do. I have to stick it out. I have to find a way to make it work. So just make sure that you can answer those questions confidently. And if you can, then go for it. And I would say to them, my advice would be to go. If your answer is yes, then I would say go for it now. Don't wait. A lot of people, it's not the right timing, or they make excuses, or they say, well, maybe once I, save up this amount of money, or, I mean, don't get me wrong, have a plan, be prepared to make a move or whatever. But, it's never going to be easy to go pursue this. It's never going to be easy. And you kind of just got to do it. You kind of got to just jump in, and you'll figure it out as you go, or you won't, but at least you tried,
Awesome. Last question. Are you ready? Let's do this. All right, Robert. So where can my audience find you on social media? And also, where can they find some of your work and also your music?
Yeah. So my music is everywhere. I go by Palmer for my music project, my middle name, short, simple, easy. So I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon. You can find my music. I've got the first 2 singles are already out. Walking Dead singles coming out mid-December. My music videos are on YouTube. Just type in Palmer Music. And then as far as social media, Robert Palmer Watkins is my handle for TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So you can find me there. And yeah, I guess that's everything.
Alrighty, guys. If you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast, visit our Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker pages. It's Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. And guys, it's my 10th anniversary, and the blog that started it all, jakes-take.com, for more articles, interviews, and reviews of music reviews. And who knows, you might see Walking Dead on there.
Yeah.
Also, guys, if you're financially able to, please consider heading over to PayPal to help keep Jake's Take and my platform up and running. I really appreciate the support. If you can't do it, please consider a social media follow, a subscription to the podcast, and also like and follow on social media. Robert, thank you so much for kicking off 2022 in an incredible way.
Oh man, thank you for having me, Jake, and good luck with everything. Congrats on your first episode of 2022. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. And Robert, thank you so much for taking time in your schedule to talk with me. And also, guys, have a great day. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule for listening and for watching. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.